Ethan leaned against the worn railing of his small porch, the evening sun dipping low behind the quiet houses of his neighborhood. The breeze carried the faint laughter of children from the park across the street. He smiled faintly, remembering when his daughter's laughter used to mix with theirs. Those sounds had once filled his life, but ever since Lily left for college, the house had felt too quiet, too neat, too still. He took a sip of his lukewarm coffee and watched as a young woman in a faded blue dress walked past the gate, clutching a paper bag. She looked familiar, her dark hair, her hurried steps, but he couldn't quite place her. She stopped, turned hesitantly, and said softly, "Mr. Reed?" Ethan blinked. "Do I know you?" "It's Mia," she said, her voice trembling with an old, buried emotion. "From the diner, a few years back. You used to come with your daughter." The memory clicked. She had been the waitress who always added extra whipped cream to Lily's pancakes, who joked that coffee was a single dad's lifeline. But back then, Mia had been bright-eyed, always smiling. The woman standing before him now looked exhausted, her eyes rimmed with red. He nodded, gesturing toward the steps. "Of course. You okay?" She hesitated, then sat on the bottom step, setting the paper bag beside her. "I needed to see you," she said. "Because I think I ruined something I didn't even understand." Ethan frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Mia stared at her hands. "Do you remember the day you left your wallet at the diner?" He chuckled quietly. "Barely. That was chaos. Lily spilled juice everywhere." She nodded. "You came back for it later. But before you did, a woman came in, said she was your wife. She saw your wallet on the counter and said she'd take it to you. I believed her. I gave it to her." Ethan's heart sank. He remembered that day now. The woman hadn't been his wife, he hadn't had one for years. Someone had used his ID to drain his account, leaving him struggling for months. He'd never known who it was or how she'd gotten it. Until now. Mia looked up at him, tears brimming. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. You were kind to me, and I thought I was doing you a favor." Ethan took a long breath, feeling the anger he'd once carried, years of resentment toward that faceless thief, rise and dissolve. "That woman, she wasn't you. You just trusted too easily." "I lost my job after that," Mia continued, voice cracking. "The owner blamed me. I moved away, tried to start over. But I've never forgotten your face. You came back for your wallet that day, and I saw the way you looked when you realized it was gone. You didn't even get angry. You just looked tired. I couldn't get that look out of my head." He sat beside her. The air between them was thick with all that had gone unsaid for years. "I didn't want you to see me like this," she whispered. "But when I saw you again last week, at the grocery store, buying those small milk cartons, you looked at me like you didn't know me. And I realized I never got to tell you the truth." Ethan smiled faintly, more out of sorrow than amusement. "You didn't owe me that." Mia shook her head. "I did. Because I thought maybe we could have been friends back then. Maybe more, if life had been different." He looked at her closely for the first time. Beneath the fatigue was a face he remembered, gentle, open, the kind of kindness that had once made his daughter giggle. "Life has a way of closing doors and opening strange ones," he said quietly. Her eyes glistened. "So why don't you want me anymore?" The words hit him unexpectedly, a mix of confession and regret. He could see her trembling, bracing herself for rejection. He smiled, though there was sadness behind it. "Because," he said softly, "you gave away what was mine." Mia's breath caught. For a moment, she looked wounded, until she saw the warmth in his eyes. "You mean your wallet?" she asked weakly. He shook his head. "No. You gave away the guilt that wasn't yours. You've carried it for years, haven't you?" She blinked, confused. "You took something heavy that didn't belong to you," he continued. "But today, by telling me, you gave it back. So no, I don't want you, not because I'm angry, but because you don't need to be tied to my past anymore." Her tears finally fell. "You're forgiving me?" "I forgave you a long time ago," he said. "I just didn't know who I was forgiving." The two sat in silence as the evening light faded into gold. A car drove by, a child's laughter echoed from the park, and Ethan thought of Lily, how she'd grown into a young woman, full of kindness just like this one. Mia wiped her eyes and stood. "I brought you something," she said, reaching for the paper bag. "It's from the diner. I work there again now. My own place this time." Inside was a slice of apple pie, neatly packed, with a note that read, "For the man who taught me forgiveness doesn't always need words." Ethan smiled, feeling the weight of the years lift from his chest. As Mia walked away, he called after her, "Hey, Mia, don't stay a stranger this time." She turned, smiling through her tears. "I won't." The porch light flickered on as dusk deepened, and for the first time in years, Ethan felt the quiet house behind him wasn't empty, it was waiting.